is The Magnate. You're welcome to a fresh edition of the program. Remember that we have started a series on Estraying the economy, the global and the Nigerian economy. And we have Mr. Economist himself, Dr. Muda Yusuf of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He set at top as the Director General. It's my pleasure to welcome you to The Magnate again, sir.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for the value addition you gave us in previous edition. Now, on this edition of the program, we are going to be looking at, I hate to use the word rave of the moment. As much as possible, I try to make this program generic, but we can't talk about the Nigerian economy without alluding to Mr. COVID-19, coronavirus. It's an understatement to say that it has had major impacts on the Nigerian economy, global economy. As an economist, vis-a-vis what is happening, how do you estray this situation? We condole with the people that have even, lost their lives. I mean, we should be thankful that we are here conversing. Did Nigeria prepare for COVID-19?
Well, if there is any shock that is almost incomparable to what we have seen in recent history, is the shock of this COVID. I'm talking about the economic shock. Talking about whether Nigeria is prepared, I'm not sure any country was actually prepared for it. Because nobody ever imagined the dimension and the extent of the devastation that COVID brought to economies around the world. The implication for us is quite huge. First, let me say that even the Nigerian economy, even before COVID, has what you can call underlying conditions.
Like we had illustrated previously.
Yes, there are underlying conditions. It wasn't as if the economy was that robust. Our growth rate was still very weak, very sluggish, around 2%. Our reserves was under pressure. The economy was still not properly diversified. So the economy had its own issues. So the COVID thing has further compounded the problem. And there are dimensions of impact. There is the supply chain dimension, which is about those who normally import raw materials and things from across the world. That was not forthcoming. So that affected, disrupted
production
in a very big way. Then there is the macroeconomic impact. That is impact on our revenue, because we are heavily dependent on oil. Oil price crashed, so that affected revenue, because oil accounts for between 50 to 60% of our revenue. So what we experienced in the last 3 months thereabout is a total collapse of that source of revenue. Then it has a major impact on our foreign reserves. The foreign reserves is what influences, to a large extent, your exchange rate, because it is the reserves that determines or the capacity of the central bank to be able to support the naira. So that capacity has been weakened because oil price has dropped, accretion to reserve has reduced, so the capacity to support the naira has also reduced. So we have seen very significant depreciation in the exchange rate. In the official window, we are talking about 360, 361. In the parallel market, we are talking about 400. There was a time it was getting to around 450. And if you look at even the futures...
Dollar, not pounds.
Yes.
Wow.
450 naira to the dollar. In futures, the futures transaction that I've seen, some are even talking about 500 plus naira to the dollar. And the implication of that is, first, it has very serious implications for cost of production. Because one of the weaknesses that we also have in this economy is the high import dependence of the economy itself. even our manufacturing sector are also highly import dependent. So once you have this kind of depreciation in the exchange rate, it affects cost of production. It affects the inflation because prices are already even going up as a result of that, because those who are in production will have to pass on these costs to the consumers. You know, then there is also the possibility of liquidity challenges in the foreign exchange market.
No money.
Because if you now go and open an LC now, you want to import something, there's no guarantee that you get the foreign exchange. If you are going to get it, it may not be immediate. You know, so these are challenges. This is affecting capacity utilization. This is affecting a whole lot of things. But more importantly, is the containment strategies.
Okay.
Because government needed to respond to this COVID. So there have been travel restrictions. There have been closure of some sectors. Even as we speak, some sectors are still under lockdown. The hospitality sector has practically collapsed. I'm talking about the hotels, those in the tourism industry, event centers, those who are into catering, those who are into rental business.
Even the media.
Even
because
the media.
We depend on them.
On them, exactly. Because there are no events to cover, no activities, you know, no adverts to place, and all of that.
Effect.
It has a major systemic effect. Because even though we talk about some essential sectors doing well and all, but how well can they do if the rest of the economy...
It's a cycle.
Yes. If the rest of the economy is in comatose. So it's affecting everybody. Okay. Purchasing power has collapsed. Because you need the purchasing power for all sectors, even those in food, to thrive. It's only somebody who has the money that you buy food, that you buy pharmaceuticals. But if the job is no longer there, the person has been laid off from where he's working, where will the money come from? So the effect has been very, very profound. And we must appreciate the fact that, of course, government has been talking about palliatives and all of that. The central bank has put a few things on the table in terms of funding. The state governments are also doing some things. Some of the regulatory agencies are also putting a few incentives on the table, like the Federal Inland Revenue Service. There are some waivers around the timing for filing of returns and all of that. In the ports, there were some concessions given by the terminal operators about cargoes that normally should have been charged demurrage. The shipping companies, some of them also gave some concessions to businesses. But there's still a lot more that we need to do.
Yeah, a lot more, my DG, because what I can take out from your resume that you just presented to us in terms of analyzing the economy is the issue of manufacturing. We are highly import dependent on raw materials from the foreign land. Don't you think we should start thinking of local content, local production of some of these raw materials? I mean, is this an eye-opener for us to really improve on our industries, on the sources of our raw materials? Because Nigeria is well endowed with some of these raw materials.
You know, even before COVID, I must admit, President Buhari has always been talking about the issue of self-reliance. The central bank governor is somebody who is very passionate about the issue of self-reliance and all of that. So it has been an issue that government has been seeing what to do. But whether the strategy that is being deployed,
the implementation,
is the right kind of strategy is a different matter. Because if the strategy is not right, you cannot get the right kind of outcomes. You know, there are some fundamental issues that needs to be addressed. You know, we talked earlier about the issue of infrastructure.
Yeah.
If you have a company in Lagos and the raw material is in Sokoto or in Kebbi, how easy is it for that raw material to get to the factory in Lagos?
And the rates are still...
The rates are still comatose. The roads are bad. You need to see what all these trucks go through
Sometimes we
to move products from one location in the country. And this country is quite big. So all of these factors are very important because we need to create the environment for the raw materials to also be produced competitively. That will reduce the pressure for people to be going for imports.
Okay.
If you know that you can get it in the right quality at a competitive price, why will you worry yourself going abroad for raw materials? Okay. We also need to ensure that some key industries that can support manufacturing are also encouraged to come alive. Look at the petrochemical industries. The petrochemical industries are supposed to support the plastic industries. They are supposed to support the chemical industries. But what has happened to the petrochemicals? What is happening to our refineries? You know, all of these things are connected. They are intertwined. Look at our Ajaokuta. Ajaokuta is supposed to be providing the steel and iron requirement for industries, for construction. But the project has been there for close to 40 years. And we have spent billions of dollars on it.
Yeah.
So the presence of basic industries is very, very key to industrialization.
All right. Thank you very much, DG. The program is still the Magnate. We are still chatting with the Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Let's go for this short break.
We are into rabbit farming. I was into food production, though I studied education, but I went into food production. And in the process of producing food, which we called Tuovitas at that time, we started discovering that there are other byproducts that are useful as feed meal to smaller animals. So on one occasion in Kaduna, I went to Pan, Pojot, which was run by the French as at that time. And one of their major food was rabbit meat, which we learned was being imported from France. And out of annoyance, I just said, is it not possible for us to breed this rabbit in Nigeria, grow it into commercial level one day, and then instead of allowing people to bring this rabbit meat into Nigeria? So I got 4 female, which is called does, and 2 male, which is called buck. And within the space of 4 months, the 6 rabbits I bought had turned into 72. And I was surprised that if this could be it, then why can't one go into it as a business? But the problem was that, as at that time, the market is not known because so many Nigerians don't even know that people eat rabbit meat. In fact, we did an exhibition, that is Rabbit Farmers Association Lagos State Chapter, at Indubusi Park last year. And we have adults, Nigerians, who are asking that, do they eat rabbit meat? And we have to tell them, taste it first and see. And then we have to educate them that this is the most nutritious meat God has ever given to man. Rabbit meat has the least of cholesterol, has the least of sodium, and it is pure white meat. So for anybody that is having health challenges, it is recommended for them to consume rabbit meat. A female rabbit called doe can produce at least 4 times in a year. The gestation period is 30 days. If you cause a female rabbit in January, by February it gives birth. It can give birth to as much as 10, 12. But let's even take it that it gives birth to just 4. But I have rabbits here that have given birth to 8. So when you have it that way, a female rabbit in a year will give you nothing less than 20. That's the minimum a female rabbit can give you. So you can imagine that if you have about 20 or 25 female rabbits, that is called does, then in a year, you know what it means to have 25 producing 8, 6, 7. But for this argument, so let's say it produces 4. So a female rabbit will give you nothing less than 20 in a year. What rabbits need is a good, clean environment because they are neat animals themselves. You give them their feed, which is formulated. We have the formulas. We have professors in Nigeria who are food nutritionists. We meet and they tell us this is what you give. Yes, some people say their feed looks like that of chicken. Yes, but the composition or the formula for chicken and rabbit meat are quite different. Give them their feed in the morning, possibly in the evening. Then we supplement with grasses. Grasses like triders, grasses like plantain leaf, banana leaves, elephant grass, carrots, cabbage. These are things that are good for rabbits. Then the most difficult part of rabbit is when those little kittens are between the ages of 1 day to 3 weeks. During that period, we give them bitter leaf. We make sure we give them bitter leaf twice in a week. Scent leaf that is called ephedrine, we give it to them. We give them ginger and garlic. Ginger and garlic is like antibiotics, so we give them to take away any form. So if you do that and you clean up their cages regularly, you don't have problems with your rabbits. And at 5 months, those rabbits are ready to start producing for you. They get to maturity. 5 months, 6 months, they are set to continue to produce for you. This is Madam here. She is also into rabbit. She sells feeds before, Abby, and she got here. We were buying feed from her. And then she said, what do you use this feed for? And then come and see. And after she came, she saw it, and the rest, as they say, is history. Madam, please.
My name is Mrs. Osegali. I'm a rabbit farmer. I develop interest through my trainer, Mr. Sawyer. He was buying feed from me. I was selling feeds, chicken feed. So one day I asked him, what are you using this feed to do? He told me he's using it for rabbit. I have to visit the place to drop feed for him and to see the kind of thing he's doing. When I saw it, I was interested. So I got a male and a female from him. Is that a male and female that produced this? At the time, I was having close to 50. I kill for my children. When they are going back to school, I kill one for them. We eat at home. I sell too to secondary school. Every second term, they patronize me because they use it for their practical, their biology practical. Every second term, different schools, they come to buy from me. The challenges is finance. If you have good finance, what this rabbit really need is good cage. If you have good cage, you have conquered everything. Because they can give birth in the midnight. If you don't have good cage, you lose all the children. They can give birth to 8, 9, 10. But if you don't have good cage, you lose them. And if you don't have good cage, rats can visit them and eat up the children before they break. I started with that one male and one female. When they gave birth, I have to separate them, so I constructed this one with the wood we were having at home here. But when I saw that the thing is really improving, I have to invest on this. This very one is costing me about 50,000 naira. Now, though I have not completed it, still remaining 2 rooms there. With this now, I think I'm enjoying it. When I started, that very one female I was having to give birth and they will die, like about 8 times. But because of that interest, I will go back to my trainer and tell him, he will tell me, continue. You are not taking good care of it. It was when I wanted to lose interest. The last time the rabbit gave birth, they survived. And they were about 6. They survived. I was happy. I crossed it again, they survived again. And that was when I had this cage. They were now surviving. So that is why I said it is good cage that will really promote the survivor. I am a retired civil servant. So at a time, nothing to do, stay at home every time, which is not too good for every human being. So when I started this one, I will wake up in the morning, at least use it to do exercise, sweep, give them food, give them water. As the farm is expanding, the work is expanding too. My advice to youth is to start just in a small way. I started. You can start with 2 females and 1 male. You can even buy only female and go to somewhere else to cross. They will start producing, they produce almost every month. You can have 20 rabbits in 2 months, even more than. So it's a way of setting up a small scale business on your own.
You are still on to the Magnate. You're welcome back. I hope you got inspired by that SME that we featured. Everybody is thinking of how to make 1 or 2 impacts in the society now by doing something and earning an income. I still have with us here on the Magnate Dr. Muda Yusuf, the Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He's Mr. Economist himself. You're welcome to the program again.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
From what you have said, you alluded earlier on to the fact that the oil prices has crashed. Nigeria, is this still a mono economy country? Because before now, we all depended on the oil and all that. But in recent past, we have been saying diversification. Don't you think that, particularly with even with COVID now, we should start thinking on that area, particularly agri, that is also the mainstay of this administration?
Well, if there is any lesson from COVID, is the lesson that we need to accelerate the process of economic diversification. But economic diversification will not happen
Overnight.
just by rhetoric. Because over time, there is more rhetoric than action.
Walk the talk.
Yes.
Motion without movement.
We need to walk the talk. Because if you talk to those who are in agriculture, who are investing in agriculture, it's a very tough business to do. First, the kind of support that we expect government to give. There are some states that don't even have single tractor to clear land.
Wow.
There are some states. Then the level of mechanization is very low. So the level of support that we expect the government to give to that sector, those who are investors in that sector are not getting it. They are practically on their own. And if you look at the situation all over the world, if you see any area where agric is doing well, there is very strong government support. And subsidy to support agriculture. It could be at the production end, it could be at the output end. But there is always that support. But here, apart from what the central bank is doing, supporting with Anchor Borat program and all of that, there is very little support coming from many of the states.
Okay.
You know, so agric is not where it should be. The level of the scale of investment, because the sector is still populated by smallholder farmers, peasant farmers. Many of them even still using the traditional hoes and cutlasses. How far can that carry us? This is an economy of 200 million people.
Yeah.
Even for that to feed the nation and export. And the beauty of an economy is for you to be able to even export.
Yes.
That is and foreign exchange. That is the way to strengthen the base of an economy.
Okay.
So we need to create enabling environment, you know, for those in agriculture, for those in solid minerals, for those in manufacturing, and even for those in service sector. Because we are blessed with professionals here who can also export services. Because when we talk about export is not only about commodities or products or processed goods. It's also about service. A lot of companies are making billions of dollars from export of services. And we have, some competencies in tourism, in entertainment industry, in ICT, and all of that. Even in soccer and even in religion. Yes.
Okay.
We have our religious bodies in many countries.
Making a lot of money.
Yes. So we need to strengthen all those components of our economy to make sure that they are competitive, they are efficient, and we scale up production and we apply technology.
You just took it off me. Technology. We're going to be talking about technology vis-a-vis even what COVID has, brought about.
Yeah.
Where how a lot of people are even using COVID now to make money technologically.
Yeah.
We can't thank you enough. It's been Dr. Muda Yusuf, Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We truly appreciate lending a voice to the growth of our numerous businesses owned by people. Remember that we'll still keep coming. We'll knock when the need arises.
No problem. It's my pleasure. And I thank you for the opportunity
thank you
to
very
be on
much,
this
sir,
platform.
for growing our businesses for us. Yes, that's been the Magnate today. I'm sure you have taken a lot of tips from our erudite economist. Mr. Economist, we call him, always lending a voice to a lot of issues in the media for us to be able to tap from his wealth of knowledge. Join us same time next week when we shall bring you an equally interesting episode of The Magnate. Until then, bye for now.